So basically in that game, there was a hill on the left, which was his occupied hill right in front of his base. And I identified that that was going to be that could potentially be problematic if I'm trying to push into the side. However, I knew there was enough distance and there was a clump of wood between. So even though he could easily cap that hill, I could cap his forward hill to the side, and that's where most of the gold was occupied. And I knew once I had a standoff point there, I could treb down onto his base, I could treb onto him, whatever. He managed to secure the hill, which is a bit problematic for me, but it doesn't really matter because even though it was problematic for me, I had the better eco overall. If you look in that game, appreciate I used market, but if you look at the game itself, where is it? If you look at this game, so you can see, okay, my food's 40 more, but more wood, more gold, more wood and more gold, more villages. So he was playing that more carefully, military wise. He was playing that more carefully, whereas I was spamming a lot more with eco, which made a big difference in that initial push. So I am pretty hungry. Do you guys reckon? Do you reckon I should do one more? Oh, he's left anyway. But I am pretty hungry, to be fair. I think I should probably give it a rest for just a little bit. But yeah, if I just show you guys what I mean in this game. So I'll just show you. Okay, so if I pause the game for a second, fog of war off. So if you look at the way that the gold's placed, there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4 right here in the middle of the map. And right in front of him is this massive hill. Okay, now to the left is this other hill with some trees, and I recognized that that could be problematic. If I placed a castle, say here for example, he could easily tread me down. So because of that, I knew that I needed to build kind of more centrally here and try and get onto this hill, because I knew once I was on this hill I could really suppress his gold, because he only had 1 gold, and then pretty much he had to raid these 2 side golds, which he could have done earlier on, recognizing that could be problematic. But for him, his main goal was to try and get on top of this hill. If he managed to castle this hill as much as he castled his base with onagers and trebs and everything else, he could have secured these 3 golds, or at least stopped me from getting at them. And then he could have even pushed out to this side gold here on the right. But he didn't do that, unfortunately. So if you look at the way that the game actually played out. So in terms of pop, I don't actually know. Like if I just pause it for a second there. So I was ahead of him on pop by 20. Mainly because I think he prioritized castles a little bit earlier than I did. So he had 3 up there. And I had 4 up actually. So I guess I was just a little bit quicker than him. I'm still 30 pop ahead, which is probably what allowed me to get as far to this part of the hill as I did. So you can see I built centrally here, knowing that castle, that if he castled or trebbed from me from there, that could have been hell on earth for me. But I knew mainly he was fighting on the flat, so I was trying to force it to the hill. And you can see he ends up getting a lot more of the hill. But I'm just thinking, if I spam him and take market, which I did, there's a potential I can still take this hill back. So this game is all about trying to take this hill and occupy this hill. And at the moment, I've managed to secure 1 gold. This one down here is still within my reach. I'm trying to build a second castle. I got really unfortunate when I told all my villagers to build a castle here. It would have survived the 2 treb shots. But unfortunately, they all waited, and then one started building it. So the trebuchets hit the castle and destroyed it, wasting me like 550 stone, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, you can see I'm all up on him here. I've spam patrolled a couple of units either side of my base just to stop any kind of movement that he might make into this gold before I manage to get a castle up. So it's only a couple of units that I've used. Here I was on the back, but you can see the score tiers up by about 2k in his favour. And that's purely on the basis that I've overextended a lot with market and everything else to try and push him. So actually, if you were to pause it there for a second, look at achievements, you'd see that his military, he's killed 30 more units than me, and his military is almost 1,000 more. So that's quite significant. Economy stats are pretty much, he's got a little bit more in terms of economy, probably because at this point I've still overextended and spent more than he has. He made a bit of an error here, moving in and trying to attack me. What he should have done in this moment, in my opinion, he had Trebs firing, but he should have stayed right back at the line, and anything I came in to try and attack him with, because he lost a couple of units there, which probably quite key to his attack. It also allowed me to push in, because he ran all the way back because he was scared of losing anything. It meant that I could suppress his castle, and well, even potentially I could have had a go at his Trebs. I didn't there, actually, looking at it back now. But you can see I've still got a huge hold on this part of the map. You can see, look, this is where all the villages, but only one starts building. Do you see? So he takes it out, but actually, had I put all villagers on that, I reckon that one firing Treb, it wouldn't have taken it out, and I was about to kill them. So I would have actually have managed to potentially have got a castle there. Not sure if I would have, though, because he wins this bit and then manages to get this castle up, which I don't think I could have stopped. And he probably would have taken that castle out regardless, and I would have ended up having to delete it. But you can see I'm still spam patrolling like my units around here, and you think they're wasted, but actually I do end up getting attacked here, so they actually did serve some benefit. And then you can see now I'm starting to grade up in terms of my economy. So I'm at nearly 4k of gold, and he's way low on gold, but he's got way more food and wood than I do. So potentially, if he managed to hold on long enough with enough, what he could have done here is he could have produced more skirms, a couple more onagers, and really rolled this now while I'm probably at my weakest. But actually, I flipped it round on him. I had camels, which are awesome against Chinese unique unit in flood, if you can get up close enough, especially with them in behind, these chocolate or whatever they're called, in the background as well. And just ploughing straight into this castle, got trebuchets up, so I can obviously take this castle down, which I do. And then he realizes at that point he's boxed in, he's about to run out of gold. He's only got one hold on one gold spot. I've already picked up 2 relics from around the map, which I'm about to take back to my monastery. And you can see at this point his pops drops to 100, and he pretty much knows it's GG at that point. I'm nearly 200 pop, so it's pretty much a good game. And I was just focusing on food at that point because I was so low. But yeah, so that was that game. The other game where, so the first game that I made the big error, which I'll just show you that game now. So what I was going for here in this game, in the Celts game, was to build 4 stables and 5 barracks, 2 castles, but no siege workshops. And the logic behind this particular tactic and push in, or strategy, whatever you want to call it, was basically to flood him, which you'll see that I do. I do actually manage to flood him. Looking at the map just while this is going on, I could see that the map was potentially more favourable to me, because you can see I got a couple of units securing these 2 gold spots. There's a gold spot here. There's my main gold spot, which is a bit awkwardly placed, but there's a gold spot here and a gold spot here. They're all in my reach, whereas he's only got this gold and his main gold. So potentially, I thought, well, if I flood him and I secure as much of the map as I can, I'm going to be much better placed. But you can see I'm already down to 4.5 food, and he's still up at 13,000. So I'm massively overextending to do this particular risky strat. So you can see at this point, I'm totally flooding him. His population has dropped to 63. I'm twice his population, but I'm fighting under castles. I've got no trebuchets and no rams to do anything to deliver to these castles. And obviously his scorpions are pretty much camping it out, just hitting my units. So the reason he turns this game around is that he's still got a hell of a lot of food, and I don't. I'm tearing down now to only just under 3k. He's also got rams pushing out, which isn't a big deal because I can take all of these out. But you'll see what happens is my flood ends up ending there, And at that point, I'm now massively in trouble because he's still got 6,000 food. He doesn't need to have map control, even though I've still got actually a little bit higher in terms of population. It doesn't matter because he can spam woads, he can spam anything he wants. So I kind of auto GG'd myself, to be fair. And there was pretty much nothing I could do thereafter. So obviously the game goes on a downward trend and I lose. In the other game, was a little bit more. It was a little bit better structured in this game. So in this game, I realized that I don't want to overextend. So I decide that instead of going for four stables, 4 barracks, and 2 castles, instead what I actually go for, and let me just wait until it builds out slightly, is I go for 4 siege workshops, 4 barracks, and 2 stables. The reason being is that paladins cost a lot of food, as do champions. So this time I don't want to waste as much food as I did in the previous game. So the best thing for me to do is to actually produce scorpions to mirror his scorpions that he was pushing into me. He's also gone for castles as well right off the bat. And woads do make a huge difference in these games. However, by me producing this castle up front here and stopping anything that he can push in and flood me back, means that I can start to secure this point as well as any other points around the map, as well as getting my onagers out. And then basically thereafter, I could see that overall his map was actually more favourable than mine. So for example, he has these 2 gold spots here and he's managing to up this castle. He's also got a gold here, his main back gold, and a gold here. So he's actually 4 golds up to 3. So I've only got this one, and potentially this one, which is actually even harassing with a nearly dead paladin. But it does a pretty good job. So I'm actually in pretty bad trouble here. He's already 2k score up, and he's flooding me like hell. He's got loads of scorps. At this point, I probably would argue his population is marginally higher, which it is. It's up by 20. So actually, I'm in a really, really difficult spot. But because I'm a little bit more careful about how I'm using my units and my resources this game, I managed to actually secure this front line. And at that point, when I secure that, I can camp, which is good for me because it stops him from being able to do anything else, whilst I try to actually take out any other gold spots that he's trying to secure. So by taking out these 2 puts him back on 3. It means that I'm on 3 still, but so is he. So at this point, our advantage is even. And in terms of relics, I can also try to start obviously picking those up as I go. And let me just have a look here. So I was just looking at something. So I'm aware that that's obviously what's happening at this point. So I can continue to camp here. The only thing I could have done even better here would have been to try and secure a castle and try and take out this particular castle here. Just simply because if he had pushed into me here with any kind of woads or paladins in mass, and he'd secured a better economy early on than he did, potentially he could have taken out these siege onagers and then pushed into my base, which would have been pretty problematic for me. As it stands, he's trying to trebuchet down this particular castle, which I think he does actually destroy in the end. There are these 2 relics down here at the bottom. I actually end up managing to score 3 as we go through the game. Essentially, a lot of it is just holding off any sort of harassments that he's trying to do. So he doesn't have any woads. If he had like 10 woads at this point, he could have taken out a hell of a lot of villagers, or at least he could have taken out the castle and then taken out the villagers and hit into my economy quite badly. But he didn't actually invest in any kind of units around that. Instead, he used some of those units to raid me. And in terms of overall economy, we were both pretty low, but I was still tearing up at this point. I had up to 140 pop, and my economy, I think, is probably more sound if I look at it. 19 farmers, 35 woodcutters to his 4 farmers, and no woodcutters whatsoever in this moment, because perhaps he's rung the bell, I don't know. But as a Celt, obviously, you need wood. You need it desperately. So he tries to resecure this hill so that he can take back this gold. But I know that gold is really important, so I'm trying to pressure that to stop that from him from doing anything there. Continuing just to camp this point out, I'm still on the hill, so I actually have a little bit of an advantage there. And you can see here now, this is where I push in. At this point, he realizes it's GG, simply on the basis that I've got a huge amount of siege rams and pushing into his castles. His economy at this point is pretty much spent. Other than he's got, he's at 110 pop, he's still got 750 food and 3k gold. Ordinarily, players might have tried to stick it out a little bit more, but at this point, I could have easily secured this hill. I had enough not enough stone, to be fair, but I could have raised the stone to build a castle on this hill, and I had a much better balanced economy. So overall, with a better balanced economy, and actually going a little bit beast here, it was pretty much GG for me. And I pretty much secured all lines, held off this point, and held off this point, and pushed into him. And that was pretty much what GG'd him.